I'm at the headquarters of CATL, the world's leading lithium-ion battery maker. Here with me is Li Wei.
CATL just announced these new batteries yesterday, and we're still waiting for a lot of details to come out.
Contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited, or CATL, is raising the stakes in the EV arena with a new battery technology that promises to give Tesla a run for its money and even outperform BYD's revolutionary Blade battery. The battery maker claims that a 5-minute charge will deliver 320 miles of range. These advancements are sure to shake up the industry. As the company pushes the boundaries of performance, one question looms: could CATL be the ultimate game-changer that surpasses both Tesla and BYD? The numbers speak for themselves, and CATL, the Chinese EV battery giant, says that its tech is even better than Tesla killer BYD's battery technology. The EV arena is about to transform like never before. Let's dive in. Why stress about better batteries? Range anxiety remains a persistent psychological and practical hurdle in the journey toward mass electric vehicle adoption. Despite rising enthusiasm for sustainable mobility, the fear of being stranded with a depleted battery continues to discourage many potential buyers. Unlike internal combustion engine vehicles that can typically travel 400 to 800 kilometers on a single tank and refuel in minutes at any of the over 150,000 gas stations across the US alone, EVs are still constrained by battery limitations and an uneven charging infrastructure. The average EV in the US offers a range of about 398 kilometers or 247 miles, according to the US Department of Energy, which may seem sufficient. But anxiety stems less from average performance and more from uncertainty, particularly in rural or underserved areas with sparse public chargers. Globally, the numbers speak volumes. There are just over 4 million public charging points worldwide, according to the International Energy Agency. While this marks a dramatic improvement from 1.3 million in 2020, the gap remains vast compared to the nearly 1.4 billion registered vehicles globally. In short, better batteries will make EV adoption far easier. Let's get some more context. In the United States, for instance, there are around 160,000 public EV chargers, of which only about 30,000 are DC fast chargers, capable of delivering an 80% charge in 30 to 45 minutes. In contrast, Level 2 chargers, more common but significantly slower, require several hours. This means a road trip across several states still requires careful planning, with long breaks, and often app-based detective work to find a working, available charger. Early adopters of EVs felt the weight of this problem most acutely. The Nissan Leaf, launched in 2010 as the world's first mass-market EV, became emblematic of early range anxiety. Its original 24 kilowatt-hour battery offered just 117 kilometers or 73 miles of range, which, while passable for short commutes, was impractical for anything else. The situation wasn't helped by the then nascent charging infrastructure. Nissan responded over time with upgrades. The 2018 Leaf Plus, for example, came with a 62 kilowatt-hour battery and a 364 kilometer or 226 mile range. But by then, public perception had been set. EVs were for city driving only. Tesla recognized this fear and strategically turned it into an opportunity. Instead of limiting itself to battery innovation, it built an ecosystem. The Tesla Model S long range, released in 2019, shattered previous expectations by delivering over 600 kilometers or 373 miles on a single charge. More importantly, Tesla backed its vehicles with the supercharger network, which numbers more than 50,000 globally, enabling drivers to recharge up to 322 kilometers or 200 miles of range in about 15 minutes. This seamless integration of cars and chargers not only eliminated much of the anxiety, but also forced legacy automakers to reconsider their strategies. Other industry leaders have followed suit with significant strides. Hyundai's Ioniq 6, built on the company's eGMP platform, delivers up to 614 kilometers or 382 miles of range and supports 800-volt charging architecture, enabling ultra-fast 18-minute charging from 10 to 80% under ideal conditions. Ford's Mustang Mach-E, while slightly behind in range at approximately 502 kilometers or 312 miles for the extended range model, has benefited from partnerships with companies like Electrify America to bolster public charging options. Yet, despite these efforts, user satisfaction surveys frequently highlight charging availability and speed as persistent pain points, especially outside major urban corridors. This means that battery technology is central to solving this problem. The current mainstream lithium-ion chemistries, such as NMC or nickel-manganese cobalt, and LFP or lithium iron phosphate, come with trade-offs. LFP batteries, popularized by Chinese manufacturers like BYD, are more affordable and safer, but they typically store less energy per unit of weight. However, BYD's Blade battery, a structural innovation that integrates the battery into the vehicle's frame, has closed much of this performance gap. It now offers competitive energy densities while significantly enhancing fire safety and life cycle durability. Solid-state batteries promise to leapfrog existing technology. Replacing the liquid electrolyte with a solid one theoretically boosts energy density by 2 to 3 times, allows for ultra-fast charging, and virtually eliminates fire risks. Toyota has stoked excitement by announcing its solid-state battery program, which it claims could deliver a 1,200-kilometer or 746-mile range with a recharge time of under 10 minutes. However, despite multiple press releases and patent filings, no commercial vehicle featuring Toyota's solid-state batteries has reached the market yet. The skepticism is warranted. Previous promises from companies like Fisker, QuantumScape, and Samsung SDI have often hit scale-up and cost hurdles. Meanwhile, BYD and CATL, the two battery behemoths of China, are taking a more pragmatic approach. CATL recently unveiled its Kirin battery, based on a next-gen lithium-ion architecture, claiming energy densities up to 255 watt-hours per kilogram and offering real-world range improvements of up to 1,000 kilometers or 621 miles. The battery is already being deployed in luxury EVs, such as the Zeekr 009 and Li Auto Mega, marking a serious push toward bridging the gap before solid-state becomes viable. BYD is also investing heavily in sulfide-based solid-state research, with a projected mass-market debut sometime after 2030. The regional dynamics of range anxiety are also telling. In countries like Norway, where EVs make up over 80% of new car sales, robust charging infrastructure has largely neutralized consumer concern. In contrast, in developing markets like India and much of Southeast Asia, EV adoption remains sluggish due to poor infrastructure and high upfront costs. China, the world's largest EV market, has installed over 1.8 million public chargers, which is more than 60% of the global total, and cities like Shenzhen are already fully electric in their taxi and bus fleets. The Chinese model, driven by government incentives, vertically integrated supply chains, and aggressive targets, offers a playbook for countries seeking to accelerate EV adoption. But how do we minimize range anxiety across the board? Well, it may soon be left in the past. The battery tech is moving on fast. The future of EV batteries. The battery revolution is no longer a distant dream, it's unfolding in real time. As nations push for carbon neutrality and automakers pivot toward electric fleets, the race to develop faster, cheaper, longer-lasting and safer batteries has intensified. Analysts predict that by 2026 to 2030, commercial-scale deployment of solid-state and other next-generation batteries will become a reality, marking a turning point not just for EVs, but for the entire global transportation and energy landscape. One of the clearest indicators of this evolution is the drastic reduction in battery costs over the past decade. In 2010, the average cost of a lithium-ion battery pack was around $1,200 per kilowatt-hour. By 2020, that number had fallen to approximately $137, and by 2023, Bloomberg NEF reported the average price stood at $139 due to inflationary pressures, despite technology and scale improvements. Analysts now forecast that by 2026, battery costs could dip below the critical threshold of $100 per kilowatt-hour. This price point is the tipping point for EVs to achieve price parity with internal combustion engine vehicles without government subsidies. Some projections even suggest costs may fall to $70 or less by 2030, particularly as new innovations take hold. A key factor driving this cost decline is the growing scale of production. Companies like CATL, LG Energy Solution, and Panasonic have massively ramped up their manufacturing capacity, with CATL alone accounting for over 35% of the global EV battery market share in 2023. Tesla's gigafactories, in partnership with Panasonic and CATL, are targeting over 1 terawatt-hour of battery production capacity by the end of the decade. At the same time, newer players such as Northvolt in Sweden and American startups like QuantumScape and Solid Power are aggressively innovating and expanding their footprint. But cost isn't the only arena where progress is being made. Energy density, that is, how much power a battery can store relative to its weight, is also increasing. Traditional lithium-ion batteries with nickel-manganese-cobalt or nickel-cobalt-aluminum cathodes typically offer energy densities between 250 to 300 watt-hours per kilogram. Next-generation lithium metal and solid-state batteries are expected to surpass 400 watt-hours per kilogram, potentially doubling the range of EVs or drastically reducing battery size and weight for the same output. QuantumScape, for example, has claimed its solid-state battery prototypes can retain more than 80% capacity after 800 cycles, while offering 80% charging in under 15 minutes. That's impressive, right? Well, there's more to this saga. Meanwhile, lithium iron phosphate or LFP batteries, once considered inferior due to their lower energy density, are undergoing a renaissance. LFP chemistry is inherently safer, less prone to thermal runaway, and uses cheaper materials, such as iron and phosphate, rather than expensive cobalt or nickel. With breakthroughs in cell design, such as cell-to-pack architecture pioneered by CATL, LFP batteries are now reaching energy densities closer to 230 watt-hours per kilogram. This makes them viable for mainstream EVs without sacrificing too much range. Tesla has already transitioned its Model 3 standard range and Model Y vehicles in key markets to LFP. BYD's Blade battery, another LFP-based innovation, has been praised for its structural integrity, slim profile, and resistance to fire, even in extreme conditions. Charging speed is another frontier of development. While early EVs required several hours for a full charge, today's advancements are drastically slashing that time. Porsche's Taycan, with an 800-volt architecture, supports charging rates up to 270 kilowatts, allowing for a 5 to 80% charge in just over 20 minutes. Next-gen LFP and solid-state chemistries are pushing those numbers even higher. Companies like StoreDot are testing batteries that can achieve a 100-mile range in just 5 minutes of charging, while CATL's new Kirin battery supports ultra-fast charging up to 600 kilowatts, potentially reducing full charging times to under 10 minutes. Importantly, battery durability is also increasing. Traditional lithium-ion batteries tend to degrade after 1,000 to 1,500 full charge-discharge cycles. Modern chemistries and better thermal management systems now allow for batteries to last 2,000 to 3,000 cycles, or over 300,000 miles, without significant capacity loss. In fact, some automakers, like Toyota and General Motors, are targeting million-mile batteries. The implications of these innovations extend far beyond just personal vehicles. Electrification is accelerating across multiple modes of transport. In the commercial space, Amazon has committed to deploying over 100,000 Rivian-built electric delivery vans by 2030. In aviation, companies like Joby Aviation, Eviation, and Lilium are exploring electric air taxis and short-haul passenger flights powered by high-density batteries. In public transit, cities around the world, from Shenzhen in China to Los Angeles, are converting their bus fleets to electric, powered primarily by LFP and emerging sodium-ion batteries. Another significant area of innovation is thermal management. As batteries grow more powerful and charge faster, managing heat becomes crucial to prevent degradation and ensure safety. Liquid cooling systems, phase change materials, and AI-driven thermal monitoring are being integrated into modern batteries. Tesla's new battery pack, part of the 4680 cell design, uses a unique cooling loop embedded directly in the battery structure to improve heat dissipation and reduce weight. As all of these technologies mature, the infrastructure to support them is also evolving. The expansion of ultra-fast charging networks such as Electrify America, Ionity, and Tesla's Supercharger 5-4 stations is accelerating. In China alone, there are over 1.8 million public EV chargers, with a goal to hit over 3 million by 2025. Europe and North America are following suit, supported by generous government incentives and regulatory pressure to phase out ICE vehicles. By 2035, the EU plans to ban the sale of new fossil fuel cars entirely, with California and several other US states implementing similar legislation. Looking forward, the period from 2026 to 2030 is shaping up to be a decisive chapter in the history of transportation. Automakers like Toyota, Honda, BMW, and Volkswagen are investing billions into next-gen battery R&D. Ford and SK Innovation are building a $5.8 billion battery complex in Kentucky. Meanwhile, geopolitical considerations, especially the race to secure lithium, cobalt, and other raw materials, are shaping global supply chains, prompting investment into battery recycling and alternative chemistries like sodium-ion and silicon anodes. By the end of the decade, the typical EV may offer 500 to 600 miles of range, charge in under 10 minutes, cost less than a comparable internal combustion engine vehicle, and last well over 15 years with minimal degradation. As these technologies converge, the dream of a cleaner, smarter, electrified future looks not only possible, but inevitable. CATL has launched a new battery. In a striking leap forward for EV technology, China's contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited, or CATL, the world's largest EV battery manufacturer, unveiled its most advanced battery to date at its 2025 Tech Day event in Shanghai. The company's latest lithium iron phosphate or LFP battery, dubbed the Shengxing, now promises a 5-minute fast charge, delivering a driving range of up to 320 miles, a landmark achievement that not only surpasses the capabilities of its domestic rival BYD, but places CATL at the forefront of global battery innovation. The new Shengxing battery is a significant upgrade from its predecessor, combining rapid charging capabilities with an extended driving range, features that have long been seen as trade-offs in EV design. While BYD's newest Blade battery, considered revolutionary just a month ago, achieves a 250-mile range on a similarly rapid charge, CATL's Shengxing stretches that to 320 miles, pushing the boundary of what LFP batteries can deliver. Tesla, by comparison, offers 200 miles of range after a 15-minute charge with its current generation superchargers. This comparison reflects the widening gap between Chinese battery tech and its Western counterparts. CATL's Chief Technology Officer, Gao Huan, emphasized that the company's breakthrough isn't just incremental, but transformative. He stated, "Our goal is to make the CATL Shengxing supercharging battery the standard for electric vehicles. We are pushing the boundaries of performance beyond limits and bringing users a more convenient and freer travel experience." Indeed, the implications of a 5-minute charge, similar to the time it takes to refuel a gasoline vehicle, could fundamentally change how consumers view EV ownership, especially in urban areas where convenience remains king. The Shenzhen battery is engineered to deliver a full range of up to 500 miles on a complete charge under standard conditions. However, what truly sets it apart is its performance in harsh environments. Even in frigid conditions of -10 degrees Celsius or 14 degrees Fahrenheit, the battery could still charge from 5 to 80% in just 15 minutes. This robustness addresses one of the long-standing issues with LFP and other lithium-based batteries, which typically struggle in low temperatures. The battery is compatible with over 67 EV models scheduled for release or upgrade within 2025. This announcement was made on the heels of BYD's recent unveiling of a fast-charging battery that also promised to revolutionize the EV landscape. However, CATL's move to one-up its rival so swiftly showcases the rapid pace of competition and innovation within China's EV industry, which is no longer just aiming to catch up with the West, but to lead outright. This rivalry has been supercharged by both companies' vertical integration strategies and government support for clean energy technologies. With subsidies, preferential regulations, and export support, China has transformed itself into the nucleus of the global EV market. The global market share numbers reflect this dominance. According to 2024 figures from South Korean-based SNE Research, CATL held a commanding 38% of the global EV battery market, more than double BYD's 17.2%. Tesla, though prominent in the EV space, sources a significant portion of its battery supply from both CATL and Panasonic, making the American giant somewhat reliant on Chinese tech in this domain. CATL also supplies batteries to major automakers such as BMW, Volkswagen, Hyundai, Honda, and Ford, cementing its position as the undisputed leader in EV battery supply for the 8th consecutive year. CATL has also introduced the Naxtra, a new sodium-ion battery that represents another pillar in its next-generation battery strategy. Unlike lithium, sodium is far more abundant and accessible, which makes sodium-ion batteries a potentially cheaper and more environmentally sustainable option. The Naxtra promises a range of up to 310 miles per charge, just slightly under the Shenzhen, and is being positioned as a lower-cost alternative for mass-market vehicles. Crucially, the Naxtra is touted for its superior thermal stability and lower risk of thermal runaway, which is the cascading failure and potential fire risk in lithium-ion batteries when exposed to high heat or physical damage. Sodium-ion batteries have long been considered the holy grail of battery chemistry for their potential to break the industry's dependency on scarce and politically sensitive raw materials like lithium and cobalt. While lithium prices have dropped from their 2022 to 2023 peaks, they remain volatile due to geopolitical tensions and resource concentration in countries like Chile, Bolivia, and Australia. In contrast, sodium can be sourced from common salt, making the Naxtra a game-changing development. CATL plans to move the Naxtra battery into mass production by the end of 2025, making it one of the first companies globally to commercialize sodium-ion technology at scale. If successful, this would not only revolutionize EVs, but also energy storage systems for grid and home use, especially in developing markets where cost and safety are paramount. While the new batteries are attracting global attention, CATL's international business remains relatively insulated from the geopolitical tensions affecting many Chinese tech companies. According to a company spokesperson interviewed by the state-run China Securities Journal, tariffs imposed by former US President Donald Trump and continued by subsequent administrations have had only a minor impact on CATL's operations. North America still accounts for a small portion of CATL's sales, with most of its revenue coming from Asia and Europe. Nevertheless, the company is proactively working with US-based automakers and regulatory bodies to maintain market access and navigate any trade-related headwinds. In February 2025, CATL filed for a secondary public listing on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, following its initial listing in Shenzhen. This move is part of its broader strategy to enhance its international profile and attract global investors. The company's ambition is not limited to automotive batteries. It has also made investments in energy storage solutions, smart grid technologies, and even alternative propulsion systems, including hydrogen fuel cell research and zero-point energy concepts through its affiliate firms. By the end of 2024, CATL's batteries were installed in approximately 17 million EVs worldwide, meaning that nearly 1 in every 3 electric cars on the road today runs on CATL technology. This unprecedented scale allows the company to reduce unit costs through economies of scale, making even its premium battery products more competitive than similar offerings from rivals in Japan, South Korea, or the United States. Analysts believe that CATL's aggressive innovation strategy could pressure other battery manufacturers to accelerate their R&D timelines. For example, Panasonic and LG Energy Solution are already working on solid-state batteries that promise even higher energy densities and faster charging times, but these are still years away from commercialization. In the meantime, CATL's dual release of Shengsing and Naxtra sets the bar for what's currently achievable and commercially viable with present-day materials and manufacturing techniques. Perhaps the most remarkable part of this story is how quickly the landscape has shifted. Just a decade ago, China's battery industry was seen as derivative, relying heavily on reverse engineering and low-cost labor. Today, firms like CATL and BYD are no longer playing catch-up, but leading the way, setting standards and dictating terms in a global transition to cleaner mobility. The next few years could see even more radical changes, as CATL reportedly invests over $4 billion annually in R&D, with more than 20,000 engineers and scientists dedicated to energy technologies alone. What are CATL's competitors doing? CATL, of course, is not alone in this high-stakes race. As the demand for faster charging times, longer ranges, affordability, and sustainability increases, its competitors are investing aggressively in alternative technologies, infrastructure advancements, and new business models like battery swapping. For instance, in 2024, Build Your Dreams, or BYD, a Chinese EV brand, held a 17.2% share of the EV battery market, second only to CATL's 38%, according to SNE Research. BYD's proprietary Blade battery has attracted significant attention for its long cycle life, enhanced safety characteristics, and compact design. The Blade battery's LFP chemistry sacrifices some energy density in favor of thermal stability, making it more resistant to fire and capable of operating in extreme conditions. This trade-off is increasingly acceptable to customers in both domestic and overseas markets, especially in regions prioritizing safety and affordability over maximum range. While BYD is primarily focused on integrating its batteries into its own vehicles, other global players are innovating across multiple segments. One such player is South Korea's LG Energy Solution, which supplies batteries to a wide range of automotive original equipment manufacturers, including Tesla, GM, Hyundai, and Volvo. LG is making strides in developing solid-state battery prototypes that could potentially double the energy density of current lithium-ion cells, while significantly improving safety. The company is also investing billions in battery manufacturing facilities in North America, benefiting from the US Inflation Reduction Act and its incentives for domestic EV and battery production. Japan's Panasonic, once the undisputed leader in lithium-ion batteries, continues to be a key player thanks to its long-standing partnership with Tesla. While Tesla now sources batteries from multiple suppliers, including CATL and LG, Panasonic has remained a strategic partner for its North American gigafactories. Panasonic is actively working on improving the 4,680 cylindrical battery cells, which promise a 5-fold increase in energy storage and improved power output. In the West, American company QuantumScape is pioneering solid-state battery technology, which replaces the liquid electrolyte in lithium-ion batteries with a solid material. Backed by Volkswagen and Bill Gates, QuantumScape's research indicates that its prototype solid-state cells can deliver higher energy density, faster charging, and lower risk of fire. However, the technology remains in pre-commercial stages, with mass production targets set around 2026 or beyond. Meanwhile, China remains the most aggressive and innovative player in battery infrastructure. Not content with simply pushing battery chemistry, Chinese companies and government initiatives are revolutionizing how batteries are integrated and used in the transportation ecosystem. One of the most transformative concepts gaining traction is battery swapping. Instead of waiting for a depleted battery to charge, a vehicle can stop at a specialized station where the drained pack can be replaced with a fully charged one. And it takes under a minute to do so. Leading this charge is NIO, a Chinese EV manufacturer that has developed a nationwide network of battery swapping stations. As of early 2025, NIO operates over 2,300 such stations across China and has performed more than 40 million battery swaps. The company aims to double that number over the next few years, with ambitions to expand the model internationally. Other companies, including Geely and Alton, are investing in battery swapping infrastructure as well. Alton New Energy, backed by Shell and other energy majors, is building hundreds of stations in major Chinese cities and has begun exporting the model to Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Even the Chinese government has encouraged standardization efforts and offered subsidies to facilitate large-scale deployment of battery swapping systems. What we are witnessing today is a genuine technological arms race. The competition among CATL, BYD, LG, Panasonic, and newer disruptors is not just about market share. It is about setting the standard for how the world will move in the coming decades. Battery performance, safety, affordability, sustainability, and user convenience are all under intense scrutiny, driving a pace of innovation not seen since the early days of the smartphone boom. The electric future is not just coming, it is arriving faster than anyone expected. But as Robin Zeng of CATL aptly stated, the real goal is not just to push boundaries, but to make these breakthroughs accessible and practical for everyday users. Whether it's through a 5-minute charge, a battery swap in under a minute, or a $10,000 entry-level EV running on sodium-ion tech, the race isn't over. If anything, it has only just begun. And CATL will most likely end up on top. Why CATL is poised to outperform Tesla and BYD. While Tesla revolutionized EVs and BYD mastered vertical integration, CATL has quietly but decisively taken control of the battery market's beating heart. As the world's largest battery manufacturer, CATL supplies lithium-ion batteries to nearly every major EV manufacturer, including Tesla, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Hyundai, Honda, and NIO. Unlike Tesla and BYD, whose battery operations are deeply tied to their own vehicle production goals, CATL is fully independent. This gives it a unique strategic edge. It's not betting on one brand's success, but powering the entire EV revolution. Even if Tesla or BYD falter in any given market or quarter, CATL profits from the overall expansion of EV adoption, regardless of brand. CATL's grip on upstream resources also gives it leverage that few rivals can match. It has invested heavily in mining and raw material sourcing, securing long-term contracts and even direct stakes in lithium and cobalt operations in Africa, South America, and Australia. This level of vertical integration insulates CATL from supply shocks and price volatility, which increasingly threaten the margins and output capabilities of competitors like Tesla and BYD. Tesla, in particular, has faced challenges securing lithium at the scale it needs and has had to court suppliers aggressively to keep its production targets afloat. Meanwhile, CATL's strategic partnerships ensure it maintains both pricing power and supply reliability. Tesla's battery strategy, once dependent on a mix of suppliers like Panasonic, LG, and CATL, is under pressure as CATL surges ahead in cost efficiency and innovation. While Tesla struggles with production delays around its 4,680 cells, CATL has already begun mass-producing its Shenzhen battery, which charges 400 kilometers in just 10 minutes, offering a game-changing solution to consumer charging anxiety. Meanwhile, BYD's Blade battery and strong sales are notable, but its battery business is limited by its identity as an automaker, which deters potential partners. In contrast, CATL's neutral stance makes it an attractive option for many global brands wary of direct competitors like Tesla or BYD. CATL's advantages go beyond just battery tech. Its investments in infrastructure, such as battery swapping through partners like NIO and its Evogo platform, offer flexible alternatives to Tesla's still proprietary charging network. Internationally, CATL is rapidly expanding with factories across Europe and Southeast Asia, and has plans for the Americas, giving it a strong global edge. With a massive R&D engine pioneering technologies like sodium-ion and CTP architecture, CATL is quietly becoming the backbone of the EV world. Rather than competing head-to-head like Tesla or BYD, CATL is enabling the entire industry, dictating the terms of innovation while building lasting dominance from behind the scenes. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.